The steady drip of rainwater through the cracked ceiling of the basement clinic kept time like a faulty metronome. Dr. Josephine Palmer dabbed at the sweat on her forehead with the back of her hand, careful not to contaminate her gloves as she finished suturing a knife wound on the unconscious man before her. "There," she murmured, more to herself than to her assistant, Raphael, who stood ready with bandages. "He'll live, assuming he doesn't go back to whatever fight club gave him this souvenir." Raphael, a former nurse who'd followed Josephine into her exile from legitimate medicine, snorted. "You know he will, Doc. They always do." Josephine didn't argue. 3 years running this underground clinic in Meridian City's forgotten district had taught her that lesson well enough. The people who came here, the undocumented, the uninsured, the unwanted, had few choices, just like her. She stripped off her gloves and moved to the sink, scrubbing blood from beneath her fingernails. The reflection that stared back from the cracked mirror was a stranger to the woman who had once been the youngest head of neurosurgery at Metropolitan General. That woman had disappeared the day the medical board had stripped her of her license after the Henderson twins case. One twin saved, one lost. A reckless decision made in seconds that had ended one career and begun another. The front door buzzed. 3 short bursts followed by a long one, their code for emergency. "I'll get it," Raphael said, already moving. Josephine dried her hands. "If it's another gunshot, tell them we're full up. St. Anthony's won't ask questions tonight. Moore's working the ER." The words had barely left her mouth when the basement door burst open. Raphael stumbled backward as a tall man with military short, dark hair staggered in, one hand pressed to his bleeding shoulder, the other holding a gun that swept the room with practiced precision. "Are you Dr. Palmer?" he demanded, his voice strained but steady. Josephine stepped forward, keeping her hands visible. "I am, and you're bleeding on my floor." The man's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Sorry about that." He lowered the gun but didn't holster it. "I need your help." "That much is obvious. The gun isn't necessary. I don't turn away patients. It's not for you." His eyes, a startling shade of green, flicked to the door. "It's for whoever might be following me." Raphael moved to close the door, but the stranger stopped him with a sharp gesture. "Wait! Check the street first!" Something in his tone made Raphael obey without question. When he returned, his face was pale. "Black SUV at the corner, men in suits." The stranger nodded grimly. "They found me faster than I expected." He turned to Josephine. "Doctor, I apologize for the intrusion, but we need to leave. Now." "I'm not going anywhere," Josephine said, crossing her arms. "I have patients who need me, and you need medical attention." "What I need is to keep you alive." The man winced, swaying slightly. "My name is Dominic Foster. Until yesterday, I worked for a government agency that doesn't officially exist, and they want you dead because of what you know about Project Lazarus." "I don't know anything about any project." Foster's eyes met hers, intense and urgent. "Yes, you do. You just don't know that you know it. The Henderson twins? That wasn't your fault. They were already subjects in the experiment. Your surgery exposed something they wanted to keep hidden." The ground seemed to shift beneath Josephine's feet. "What are you talking about?" "I'll explain everything, but not here. They're coming for both of us." As if to punctuate his words, the sound of car doors slamming echoed from the street above. Josephine looked at Raphael, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "The tunnel," he said. "I'll hold them off." Raphael, "Go, Doc. I'll be fine." He pulled a shotgun from beneath the reception desk. "Been wanting to use this anyway." Josephine grabbed her medical bag and a jacket. "There's a service tunnel that leads to the old subway," she told Foster. "Can you walk?" He nodded, grimacing. "I've had worse." As they slipped through the hidden door behind the supply cabinet, Josephine heard the front door splinter. Raphael's shotgun boomed in response. Foster grabbed her hand, pulling her deeper into the darkness. "Move fast. Stay low," he whispered. "Why should I trust you?" she hissed back. In the dim emergency lighting of the tunnel, his face was all shadows and angles. "Because I'm the only one who knows the truth about what happened to you. And because there's a child who needs your help. A little girl named Lily. She's the only living subject left in Project Lazarus, and without you, she's going to die." The abandoned subway station smelled of mildew and forgotten dreams. Dr. Josephine Palmer finished bandaging Dominic Foster's shoulder wound, her hands moving with practiced efficiency despite the poor lighting from their single flashlight. "The bullet went clean through," she said, securing the last piece of tape. "You're lucky." "Luck had nothing to do with it," Foster replied, rolling his shoulder experimentally. "Agent Winters never misses unless she means to." Josephine packed away. "Her supplies. You said you'd explain everything. Start talking." Foster leaned against the crumbling tile wall. 6 years ago, the government initiated Project Lazarus under Vincent Hargrove's pharmaceutical empire. The goal was to develop neural enhancements that could create soldiers with heightened abilities, faster reflexes, increased pain tolerance, eidetic memory. "Human experimentation," Josephine said flatly. "Yes, but they needed subjects whose disappearances wouldn't raise alarms." "Children," she whispered, bile rising in her throat. Foster nodded grimly. "Orphans, mostly. Kids in the system with no one to miss them. The Henderson twins were among the first test subjects." "That's impossible. They were patients referred to me for a rare congenital condition. A condition artificially induced by Hargrove's team." Foster pulled out a small tablet and brought up medical files. "The twins were part of Phase 1. The neural implants were disguised as tumors." Josephine stared at the scans, her medical training immediately spotting the anomalies she'd missed years ago. "These aren't natural growths. No. When you operated and discovered irregularities in the tissue, Hargrove needed to discredit you. Before you could investigate further, the realization hit her like a physical blow. They sabotaged my surgery. They made sure one twin died." "Yes. Then used their influence to strip your license." Josephine's hands trembled. 3 years of guilt and self-recrimination, all based on a lie. "What about this girl, Lily?" Foster's expression softened. "She's 9. The only survivor of Phase 3. The implants are more advanced, integrated with her brainstem. She's being kept at Hargrove's private research facility outside the city. And what exactly do you want me to do?" "Remove the implants before they kill her. Then testify about what Hargrove has done." A distant rumble echoed through the tunnels. Foster tensed, gun appearing in his hand. "That's just the 1015 Express," Josephine said. "These abandoned tunnels run parallel to the active lines." Foster didn't relax. "We need to keep moving. There's a safe house in Westbrook where we can regroup." As they navigated the darkened tunnels, Josephine's mind raced. "How did you get involved in all this?" "I was assigned to security for Project Lazarus 2 years ago. I didn't know what it really was until I found unauthorized transfers of children from state facilities. When I started asking questions, I became a liability. They emerged from a maintenance exit into a rainy alley. Foster led them through a maze of side streets, avoiding cameras and main thoroughfares with practiced ease. The safe house was a nondescript apartment in a building that had seen better days. Inside, Foster secured the locks and swept for surveillance devices before finally holstering his weapon. "We'll be safe here for a few hours," he said, moving to a laptop on the kitchen table. Josephine watched him access encrypted files. "Why should I believe any of this? You could be manipulating me." "Fair question." Foster turned the screen toward her. "These were taken 3 days ago. The video showed a sterile laboratory where a small girl with dark hair lay connected to monitoring equipment." Josephine leaned closer, her medical training immediately noting the unnatural pallor and neurological symptoms. "The implants are failing," she murmured, "causing systemic inflammation and neurological cascade failure." "Can you help her?" Josephine studied the readouts. "Theoretically, yes, but I'd need specialized equipment, a proper OR. Hargrove has all that. We just need to get you inside." She laughed bitterly. "You want me to walk into the lion's den? I want you to save a child's life, and maybe clear your name in the process." Before Josephine could respond, Foster's phone vibrated. His expression darkened as he read the message. "What is it?" she asked. "My contact inside Hargrove's operation. They're moving Lily tomorrow to a more secure facility." He looked up, eyes intense. "We're out of time, doctor." "Are you in?" Josephine thought of her clinic, probably in ruins now, of Raphael, whose fate remained unknown, of the Henderson twin who had died on her table, not through her failure, but through calculated murder. "I'm in," she said, "but I'll need supplies." Foster's smile was grim. "I know just where to get them." Part 3. The Child in Room 7. The pharmaceutical warehouse loomed before them, its security lights cutting through the pre-dawn mist. Josephine crouched beside Foster behind a row of shipping containers, watching as he studied the patrol patterns. "This is insane," she whispered. "We can't just break into a Hargrove Pharmaceuticals storage facility." "We're not breaking in," Foster replied, checking his watch. "We're being let in." On cue, a side door opened, and a woman in a security uniform beckoned urgently. "That's our contact, Dr. Eleanor Reeves," Foster explained as they hurried forward. She was Hargrove's chief neurologist until she discovered what the research was really being used for. Dr. Reeves was in her 50s with silver-streaked hair pulled into a severe bun. Her face was lined with exhaustion and worry. "You must be Dr. Palmer," she said, leading them through dimly lit corridors. "I've followed your work. What happened with the Henderson case was a travesty. So I'm learning," Josephine replied. They entered a storeroom filled with medical equipment. Dr. Reeves began gathering supplies, surgical instruments, medications, monitoring devices. "Lily's condition is deteriorating rapidly," she explained, handing Josephine a tablet with the child's latest scans. "The Phase 3 implants are more integrated with her central nervous system than previous versions. Removing them will be extraordinarily difficult." Josephine studied the images, her mind already mapping the surgical approach. "These aren't just in her brain, they're throughout her spinal column." Yes, the intention was to enhance reflexes and pain response by directly interfacing with the spinal nerves. "Monstrous," Josephine muttered. "Indeed, and Hargrove is preparing to start Phase 4 with a new group of children." Dr. Reeves's hands trembled slightly. "I've been altering Lily's medication to slow the degradation, but Hargrove noticed. That's why they're moving her." Foster finished packing the supplies. "What's the security situation at the research facility?" "Worse than we anticipated. Hargrove brought in additional teams after your escape." She handed Foster a key card. "This will get you into the medical wing, but the biometric scanners are another matter. Leave that to me," Foster said. An alarm suddenly blared through the building. Dr. Reeves paled. "They've discovered the missing medications. You need to go. Now." Foster grabbed the supply bag. "Come with us." She shook her head. "I can do more good from the inside. Besides, someone needs to distract them." She pressed a flash drive into, Josephine's hand. "All the evidence of Project Lazarus is on this. Get it to Senator Hammond. She's been investigating Hargrove for months." Before they could argue, Dr. Reeves pushed them toward a service exit and ran in the opposite direction, drawing the security guards after her. 2 hours later, Foster parked their stolen van a mile from Hargrove's research facility, a modernist compound nestled in dense woodland outside the city. "The transport team will bring Lily out the east entrance at 600, he said, checking his weapons. "We intercept." I neutralize the guards, you stabilize her, and we retreat to these coordinates. He showed her a map with a cabin marked in red. And, if something goes wrong? Foster's expression was unreadable. Then we improvise. Something did go wrong. The transport team arrived early with twice the expected security. Foster's plan to quietly intercept them evaporated when one guard spotted their position. What followed was chaos, gunfire, shouting, the screech of tires. Somehow, Foster managed to disable the transport vehicle and neutralize the security team without killing anyone. And then Josephine was rushing forward to the medical transport pod where Lily lay unconscious, her small body convulsing with neurological misfires. She's crashing, Josephine shouted, pulling equipment from their bag. The implants are shutting down her autonomic functions. Working feverishly, she stabilized the child enough for transport. Foster carried Lily to their vehicle while Josephine kept a hand on her pulse, counting each faint beat like a prayer. The cabin was small but equipped with basic medical supplies. As Foster secured the perimeter, Josephine prepared for the most challenging surgery of her career. I can't do this alone, she admitted, setting up monitoring equipment. Foster stepped up beside her, rolling up his sleeves. I have field medical training. Tell me what you need. For hours, Josephine worked with meticulous precision, removing the neural implants one by one while Foster assisted, his hands steady despite his lack of formal training. The integrated nature of the devices made each extraction a delicate dance between success and catastrophe. Last one, Josephine murmured, her back screaming in protest after 6 hours hunched over the makeshift operating table. Dr. Josephine Palmer raised her hand slowly, keeping her body between the intruder and Lily's unconscious form. Agent Winters, the woman Foster had mentioned, stood in the doorway, her weapon trained steadily on Josephine's chest. Where is Foster? Winters demanded, her ice-blue eyes scanning the cabin. Checking the perimeter, Josephine answered. Please lower your weapon. There's a child recovering from surgery here. I know exactly what's here, Doctor. Winters stepped fully into the room, closing the door behind her. What did Foster tell you about Project Lazarus? Enough to know it's illegal human experimentation on children. Winters' expression remained neutral. And did he tell you his role in it? A cold sensation spread through Josephine's stomach. He said he was security until he discovered what was happening. A humorless smile crossed Winters' face. Foster wasn't just security. He was the project's chief of operations for 3 years. He personally selected half the children used in the experiments. You're lying, Josephine said, but doubt had already taken root. Am I? Winters lowered her gun slightly. Check his tablet. Security code 7729. See for yourself. Josephine hesitated, then slowly reached for Foster's tablet on the nearby table. The code unlocked a hidden directory filled with files. Children's names, dates, procedures authorized by D. Foster. No, she whispered. He's using you, Dr. Palmer. Foster went rogue 6 months ago, but not out of conscience. He's stealing Hargrove's research to sell to the highest bidder. Winters gestured to Lily. That child is just his ticket to a payday. The back door opened and Foster entered, freezing when he saw Winters. His hand moved toward his weapon. Don't, Winters warned. Doctor, step away from him. Is it true? Josephine demanded, the tablet clutched in her shaking hand. Were you running Project Lazarus? Foster's expression remained unreadable. It's complicated. Answer me. Yes, he said finally. I oversaw the early phases of the project. The betrayal hit Josephine like a physical blow. All that talk about saving. Lily, exposing Hargrove? Was any of it true? All of it was true, Foster insisted. Josephine, I was following orders until I understood what we were really doing. What I was doing, I've been trying to make it right. By stealing the research? Winters interjected. By planning to sell it to foreign interests? Foster's jaw tightened. That's not what's happening. Winters isn't government. She works directly for Hargrove, private security tasked with cleaning up his messes. Winters didn't deny it. Hargrove wants the girl back. The implants are out, Josephine cut in. I removed them all. For the first time, Winters looked unsettled. That's impossible. The integration with her nervous system is extensive, yes, but not irreversible. Josephine moved back to Lily's side, checking her vitals. She'll recover with proper care. Winters and Foster had their weapons trained on each other now, a deadly stalemate. Dr. Palmer, Foster said quietly. Whatever. You think of me, Winters can't take Lily. Hargrove will just put her back in the program. Or dissect her to see how you removed the implants, Winters added coldly. Either way, the child is Hargrove property. She is a human being, Josephine said, her voice hard with sudden resolve. Not property. In one fluid motion, she grabbed a sedative from her medical kit and plunged it into Winters' arm as the agent's attention was divided. Winters' eyes widened in shock before she crumpled to the floor. Foster stared at Josephine. That was unexpected. She'll be unconscious for about an hour, Josephine said, already gathering her equipment. I don't trust you, Foster, but I believe you about one thing. Hargrove can't get Lily back. Where will you go? I have a colleague, Dr. Gregory Hudson. He runs a private clinic in Canada. He can help get Lily proper care, somewhere Hargrove can't reach. Foster nodded slowly. You'll need transportation, documentation, and you need to disappear before she wakes up, Josephine countered, nodding at Winters. I don't want to know where you go or what you do, but give me the flash drive with the Project Lazarus evidence. Foster handed it over without hesitation. There's a car hidden 2 miles north, keys under the front wheel well. He wrote coordinates on a piece of paper. Dr. Hudson's clinic. I've arranged transportation across the border. Josephine carefully lifted Lily, surprised at how light the 9-year-old was. Why should I believe anything you say now? Foster's eyes met hers, and for once she saw something genuine there. Regret, perhaps even shame. Because despite everything, I want her to live. Maybe that counts for something. Outside, rain had begun to fall. Josephine tucked Lily into a waterproof blanket and stepped into the downpour, leaving Foster and the unconscious Winters behind. She had gone perhaps 100 yards when she heard gunshots from the cabin. She didn't look back. Part 5. Healing the past, 3 weeks later, Dr. Josephine Palmer stood at the window of Dr. Hudson's private clinic, watching Lily chase autumn leaves across the lawn. The child's recovery had been remarkable, physically, at least. The psychological scars would take longer to heal. She's doing well, Dr. Hudson said, joining her at the window. Gray-haired and gentle-eyed, he had been Josephine's mentor during her residency. The latest scans show no sign of neurological damage. It's almost miraculous, Josephine agreed. Children's brains have incredible plasticity. Speaking of miracles, Hudson handed her a tablet displaying a news headline. Pharmaceutical mogul Vincent Hargrove indicted on human trafficking, illegal experimentation charges. Josephine scanned the article. Senator Hammond had received anonymous evidence detailing Project Lazarus. The FBI had raided Hargrove's facilities. Children were rescued. Arrests were made. Foster, she murmured. Pardon? Nothing. She handed the tablet back. What will happen to Lily now? I've spoken with authorities. Given her unique situation, she's being placed in a special program for recovered victims. A couple who specialize in trauma foster. Care has been approved to take her. Josephine nodded, her throat tight. That's good. She deserves a real childhood. Hudson studied her face. And what about you? The medical board is reviewing your case. With Hargrove's manipulation exposed, your license could be reinstated. I don't know if I want it back, she admitted. At least, not to return to my old life. You're a gifted surgeon, Josephine. The world needs your skills. She thought of her underground clinic, of Raphael, who had survived the raid and was even now rebuilding their operation, of the people who came to them with nowhere else to go. Perhaps there are different ways to use those skills. Hudson smiled knowingly. I may have a proposition for you then. I'm establishing a non-profit medical center for underserved communities. We'll need a surgical director. Before she could respond, her secure phone, the one only 2 people had the number for, buzzed with a message. Check the front entrance. DFXQing herself, Josephine went to the clinic's reception area. Outside on the steps sat a simple cardboard box. After security scanned it for threats, she brought it to her office. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten note. Dr. Palmer, the Mao. Drive contains identities and locations of all children who were part of Project Lazarus, including those believed dead. Many are still alive, hidden in facilities worldwide. They need someone who understands what was done to them. They need you. For what it's worth, I was at the cabin that night. Winters had backup. I handled it. You won't be followed again, my. Debt isn't paid. It never will be. But this is a start. DF Josephine plugged in the drive. Files appeared. Dozens of children's faces, medical records, locations. Each one a victim. Each one potentially savable. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Lily stood in the doorway, a drawing in her hand. I made this for you, she said shyly, offering the paper. It showed 2 figures, a small one and a tall one, standing, together under a bright sun. Is this us? Josephine asked. Lily nodded. Dr. Hudson said you're leaving tomorrow. Yes, I have to help other children who were hurt like you were. Will you come back? Josephine knelt to the child's level. I promise. And when I do, I'll tell you about all the children you helped save, because that's what you did, Lily. By being so brave, you're helping us save others. Later, as evening fell, Josephine called Hudson to accept his offer, with modifications. She would establish a specialized unit within his non-profit, dedicated to treating victims of medical exploitation, a place where healing could happen in the light, not the shadows. As she packed her few belongings, she noticed movement outside. Her window, a figure at the edge of the tree line, watching the clinic. Even at this distance, she recognized Foster's silhouette. She didn't signal or acknowledge him. Some debts could never be paid, some trust never rebuilt. But tonight, their goals aligned, to undo the damage they had each, in their own ways, been complicit in causing. Josephine closed the curtains and returned to studying the files, memorizing the faces of children still waiting to be found. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new surgeries, new battles against those who saw human beings as commodities, but for the first time in 3 years, Dr. Josephine Palmer would be operating in the light, her hands steady with purpose rather than guilt. Not to reclaim her past, but to heal it, one child at a time.